What are some issues with iron deficiency and how to fix them? My name is Dr. Droliviajoseph, and I've been a functional medicine practitioner for 20 years. And I check iron levels on everyone, on men, women, kids, all of the above. The reason I do is because iron's a really important nutrient that brings oxygen to your cells. And most doctors run CBC testing to look for anemia. I like to go further than that. If I'm trying to evaluate somebody's red blood cell status, I want to see iron, ferritin, iron binding capacity, saturation, but I also want to see B12 and folate levels because B12 and folate can cause a different type of anemia called pernicious anemia, and B12 and folate also can enhance the absorption of iron. So it's very important to have healthy iron levels, and for a female, those iron levels should be about 100, and ferritin, which is your stored iron, should be about a 60. When your levels are low, the most common symptom is fatigue, but you can also feel cold. You can get sick all the time. You can have dark blue or black circles under your eyes, but a really common symptom is hair loss. I would say low iron levels is probably the most common reason for hair loss that I see in my practice. Now, there's a lot of other reasons for hair loss. I'm just telling you that that's the most common one. So I do not believe that everybody needs to be supplementing with iron, but I do believe if your levels are suboptimal, if that iron's not at 100, if the ferritin's not at 60, you should be supplementing. Now, women, we are more prone to low iron because of periods, because of pregnancy, and because of the delivery process of delivering babies. So if you have heavy periods, you should have your iron levels checked. If you are pregnant, you should have your iron levels checked. If you've just had a baby, you should have your iron levels checked. If you are iron deficient during pregnancy, your fetus is more likely to be iron deficient. And iron deficiency in newborns and in little babies can lead to brain fetal development issues. Why? Because that brain's not getting enough oxygen. It can even lead to delayed speech and motor development because the brain is deprived of oxygen. It's such an important nutrient. And the one thing you need to know is if you drink a ton of milk, it can actually block iron absorption. I'm a huge fan of turmeric in people with hyperhemochromatosis, which means levels of iron that are too high, which causes inflammation in the liver. But huge amounts of turmeric in the form of supplementation or in your diet can also block iron absorption. Now, if you're somebody who takes turmeric supplements, just don't take them at the same time that you take your iron is all you need to do. You can still take it, you can still eat it, just take it at a different time or at a different meal, or even take breaks from it if you're trying to build your iron levels up. So too much iron is also bad. So too much iron can cause toxicity, especially in children. So we do not want to give children iron supplements without blood testing. Too much iron can also cause inflammation in the liver. When you see high ferritin levels, we know you have inflammation happening. Most often that is happening in the liver. So if you're somebody that has high iron, high ferritin, high levels of inflammation in the body, you can certainly donate blood. That's one of the best ways to get your levels down. You can take turmeric to help with the inflammation and to help reduce that iron level. So those are some different things you could do, as well as blood dumping. That's where somebody writes you a prescription and they take your blood and then they dump it instead of donating it if you're somebody who is unable to donate blood that has iron levels that are too high. But again, more often than not, levels are too low. It's rare that we see the levels are too high. So just make sure you have your levels checked. I typically check iron and ferritin levels on my patients once a year. I run a CBC also to see what the red blood cells look like. I either check B12 and folate or a marker called homocysteine. And other nutrients that work with iron are vitamin D. It's very important that you have adequate vitamin D levels. I like to see those levels at about 55 or higher. 55 to 75 is kind of my ideal range. And it's also very important that you have your thyroid checked, because a lot of the time symptoms of low iron mimic symptoms of low thyroid. So it's really important to have not only a TSH checked, but also check your thyroid antibodies, and also make sure your free T3 is always checked, because that's your active thyroid hormone. So we want to make sure that all of those nutrients are there in optimal levels so that they can work together. So if you feel frustrated because somebody hasn't been doing the right labs on you, or you don't feel good and you're told your lab testing is normal, if you're looking to work with somebody to dig a little deeper, get to the root cause of some of your issues, or help you with your health goals, feel free to reach out to the Wellness Connection, and myself or someone on my functional medicine team would be more than happy to work with you.